Does it look like I'm looking at the camera?
Yeah, just look at me. I'm going to be looking at the camera. Okay. And I'll tell you stuff if whatever, because you can edit anything out. So.
All right. Hey guys, my name is Samantha Gutierrez and welcome to my first video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the hollow earth theory while doing my makeup at the same time because I'm tired of just the same makeup videos all the time. This is nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Action.
This YouTube channel will be dedicated to doing my makeup while talking about a conspiracy theory or something of the like. Things that are interesting. I'm tired of the same makeup videos. I just thought that this would be super interesting, so here I am. Let's get started. So today I thought we would talk about the hollow earth theory. Ever heard of it? It's pretty interesting. By the way, I will be linking all of the products that I'm using down in the description box below. So if you're interested to know what I'm using, it's nothing fancy. You can check out the description box and it'll be there. This is the theory that the earth is hollow. Obviously. Some people believe that the core of the earth is a sun, and some people think there's a whole civilization residing within the earth. Could you imagine? I can. By the way, did you hear about, I know like a few months ago, NASA released that there's aliens, basically. They revealed that they saw like UFOs. I think it was the Navy, I don't know who it was. No. A few months ago, they released that like recordings of these men up in the airplanes and they saw UFOs. So they released the recording of the little cameras that they have on their little jets or whatever they were flying of the UFO, and then the audio of them. And then yesterday or the day before, the Pentagon released like an official statement that they're gonna start updating us on like of unidentified vehicles that could not have been made on Earth. Sure. So this theory began with Edmund Halley, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Most of us know him from Halley's Comet. That comet is named after him. So I read on one website that you pronounce his name Halley, but I mean, we all call it Halley's Comet, so I'm kind of assuming it's probably Halley. So Edmund Halley is a very smart scientist. He was friends with Isaac Newton, so you know he's smart. Ed, we're gonna call him Ed. Ed noticed that Earth's magnetic fields were like kind of haywire. They were never just in the same spot. From year to year, the magnetic fields, they shift. So enter hollow earth theory. That was Ed's conclusion, hollow earth. And I'll tell you why. He believed that we could be standing on like the outermost shell. Outermost, insinuating, yeah. You guessed it. He believed that there were 3 other shells within the shell that we live on. And they all had their own rotation pattern, I guess is what you would call that, right? Rotation pattern? If they all have their own rotational pattern, it's because they each have their own poles. And the poles of these inner shells are what throws off our magnetic field. That's what he thought. He also believed that there might be life on these shells. Now, Ed actually admitted that he knew his theory sounded kind of crazy and unbelievable, but Ed's theory was not the first that people have heard of this. This idea of a hollow earth can be found in folklore all around the world from basically the beginning of time, I think. Doesn't really say exactly when, but it can be found from a long time ago, before Ed Halley. And Ed Halley existed when Isaac Newton did. That was like before the 1600s or like in the 1600s. I don't know for sure. I should probably check, but I'm not gonna. So in comes Athanasius Kircher. While I was editing, I actually realized it's pronounced Athanasius, so maybe. Kircher wrote a book in 1664 called Mundus Subterraneus. Now in this book, he wrote about, I guess, just his own idea of what makes up the earth and stuff. And it contained ideas of like earth and it containing essential fire.
Can I just say something?
What?
Mundus Subterraneus means something.
What does it mean?
Mundus, I'm pretty sure means...
Mundus, M-U-N-D-U-S.
I'm pretty sure mundus means world.
Uh-huh.
And subterraneous means under earth.
Oh, shit.
So that might...
This is why I keep her around. Say what? Does it really? That's what it means?
Oh, wait.
I mean, it does. I know subterraneous
I know, like
means
Mondo.
under the...
Wait.
Brad Mondo.
Mundus means world. Yeah, I was right.
Shut your mouth. Shut your trap. That's okay. Well, there you have it, folks. What is it? Mundus subterraneous actually means underworld. Anyways, so in this book, he wrote about vast underground lakes and lava chambers. He thought that at the North Pole, there was a gaping vortex that sucked water from the ocean into it, sucked it down into the central fire, heated it up, and then expelled it out the South Pole. So Kurt sure didn't really have any facts to back up his claims that he made in this book, but Haley did. Haley had some facts to back his ass up. People were saying that maybe these magnetic fields varied because of like the change of magnetic bodies in rock, and he says no way, Jose, that can't be. Rocks are solid. Hello, duh, we all know that. You can't just put things through rock. It's solid. So his idea was, since that couldn't be it, there had to be shells spinning around beneath the ground. There just had to be. There's no other explanation for it, right? Isn't that what you would think of? I mean, that's what I think of. So Ed said that the circles inside were the sizes of Venus, Mars, and Mercury. He said that the circles were held in place by gravity. They all had their own gravitational system that kept them perfectly held in place. He said that since magnetism is a stronger force than gravity, so gravity itself wouldn't prevent these shells from just kind of crumbling in. Therefore, magnetical matter had to be surrounding these shells because magnetical matter is stronger than gravity. Everybody knows that. Just kidding. I don't know that. So all of this would explain why our magnetic fields are always changing, because if we've got 3 separate things inside with their own poles, ours can't stay the same. It will shift it. My eyelids are getting old. I have wrinkles in my eyelids. I'm not ready to get old. I can't wipe because my eyelid's so like saggy, it drags, and then I've got the joys of getting older. People had questions about what would happen should a crack, should a crack crack. What would happen then? He says that there is a saline and vitrolic particle substance, which is like vitrolic. I couldn't find much on Google about vitrolic particles, but what I could find is that I believe that it's like rock, a type of rock, and saline, which is salt water, that a mixture of those would plug any cracks or leaks that would happen in the Earth's surface or in one of these other shells' surface. Because the leaking we're talking about is like, what if the Earth would crack underneath an ocean? Would it drain completely? No, there's salt water and vitrolic particles preventing that from happening. Plugs any leaks. Kind of like caulk. He also thought that the northern lights was gases escaping from a crack. So this was a time when religion and science weren't really separated. Religion was a big part of people's lives back then. There weren't really people who thought any differently other than God. So people would question why God would make the earth that way. Haley kind of explained it in a way that made me like, whoa. He said that just as we build buildings with multiple floors to conserve space so that we all have room to live, that's exactly what God was doing when he made Earth. He made Earth have multiple floors so that more things could live. When I read that, I was like, what? I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? To me. It's not like we have a whole universe we can use. Ed also believed that all the planets in our solar system had life on them as well, which I can get on board with. I mean, no, not the planets in our solar system, but I mean, if I didn't know any better back then, I would have definitely believed that, because I hate to break it to everyone, but aliens are real. And if you don't think so, wake up. So then people would question, if things live on these shells, how do they get light? Where is their light source coming from? Because all living things need light to live. He basically said that, I'm not really sure. But he knows for sure that there's something that we haven't discovered yet that's lighting things up down there.
How does he know that for sure?
He doesn't.
Okay.
I just had to wipe that off and I'm restarting it because I messed it up. So Ed's theory, it really wasn't taken that seriously by people. It was very questioned. People didn't really believe it. It was a theory. He never really talked about it much after that. He didn't add anything else to this theory, but he was named Astronomer Royal about 40 years later. And when he went to go have his official like Astronomer Royal portrait done, he was holding in his hand a illustration of the Earth and its 3 concentric circles. So, you know, he meant business. Like, he believed that to his core. Maybe he just didn't want everyone to think he was a cuckoo, but he definitely believed in his theory. This ain't turning out the way I wanted it to. I'm restarting this. I'm not doing this look. Doing things on the fly here. Then we have Leonard Euler. Leonard Euler, he had a good name for himself. He was a mathematician, an astronomer, a physicist, a geographer, a logician, and an engineer. So he had lots of really important guy titles. I need to start doing my eyebrows different because I have these little hairs down here that never get in like my line. I need to start doing them more angry. Yeah, that's the way my natural eyebrow is. I need to embrace who I am and just be angry. It's who I am. Leonard Euler had a kind of different theory, but it still is like on the same wavelength. His theory was that Earth was completely hollow, no shells, that there was a sun in the middle with a 600-foot diameter. How he knew that? Don't ask me. I mean, 600-foot diameter, it seems pretty like specific. Like, how would you come up with that, you know? Like the measurement, a 600-foot diameter. Why 600 feet?
Maybe the aliens told him.
That's what I think. The center of this could be reached by holes in the North and South poles. So kind of like the same idea as the first dude we talked about that wrote Mundus Subterraneus. Some believe that the inside of this shell is covered with mountains that are bigger than the ones we have on the outside. They believed this place to be called Agartha, which if you look into it, if you look it up, Agartha, there's just like so much you can find on Agartha. This is what dates back. This is like what all the folklore is about. It's not necessarily about like a hollow earth theory. It's more about Agartha, which is the world that's like underneath the earth, whether it's a flat earth, spherical earth. It's up to you to decide that. But it's said that Agartha is the realm that like higher powers live in. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there. A lot of crazy conspiracy theories pertaining to this Agartha place, more than just like the hollow earth aspect of it. People believe there's a hole that flying saucers fly out of. Again, higher power coming to and from their little space station underneath the earth. People believe that there are secret passages underneath the Great Pyramids in the Himalayas that lead to this world beneath our world. People believe that atomic bombs, when they go off, the mushroom cloud is actually not from the bomb itself, but from a hole blown into the earth where gases escape from. I mean, if you think about what a mushroom cloud looks like, I mean, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying it's pretty believable. It looks like it could be. You know what I mean? Like, if you really think about it, that seems legit. So next we have Admiral Byrd. Richard Byrd, good old Rick. He was a pilot. He was in the military. And he was reportedly the first man to actually fly over the North Pole and the South Pole. Some don't believe he actually made it to the North Pole because the report of like the speed he was going and the time it took him to get there didn't align properly. But meteorologists backed him up in his claim that there was some kind of like whirlwind when he was flying that basically projected him farther, faster than what his report was interpreting his trip to have taken. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Admiral Byrd, we're just gonna call him Rick. Rick, he reported seeing lush green forests over the North and South Pole. I think it was the South Pole actually. I'm not sure which one. But he reported seeing lush green forests where there shouldn't have been because it's frozen there. So because of what he thought he saw, Rick, he organized Operation High Jump. Operation High Jump's objective was basically to set up research facilities and training facilities in Antarctica. This was in 1947. By the way, that was the objective that they had, and people kind of were like, was it really though? People thought that maybe it was a secret mission to find base 211. Base 211 is the base that Nazis set up in Antarctica pretty much for Hitler's escape if shit should go down. They were searching desperately for Agartha. We'll get back to that later though. People thought that that might be what they're actually doing, seeing the Nazis were up there. Maybe Hitler was there. So Operation High Jump was one of the largest operations ever conducted in Antarctica. Over 4,000 men were sent to study the Arctic. This included 13 Navy support ships, an aircraft carrier, helicopters, flying boats, and other ships and stuff. Now, they stayed for 8 months. That's a long time to be in the Arctic. Could you imagine? I lived in North Dakota, and I equate that to the Arctic. And let me tell you something. I lived there for 3 years and it was miserable. These people are nuts. These men went there to gather data, research the Arctic, but Richard has his own story to tell of what actually happened there. Now, I say that we should have sent women. Why is it always men that go on these things? A woman should have went there and figured out, we would have figured out what the heck was going on in Antarctica. And everybody would have known, because you know we can't keep our mouths shut. We would have spilled the tea. We don't keep secrets. That's men's problem. They keep so many secrets. Am I right? Anyways, though, Rick claimed to have found an ancient civilization in Antarctica, Agartha. Richard's diary, yes, he kept a diary. In it was a detailed depiction of what he discovered. He allegedly came across a lush place with a warm climate, mammoth-like creatures, and an ancient human race, Agartha. He claims that his plane was overtaken by a UFO and landed for him in the town center of this place, where he was met by emissaries, and emissaries are basically creatures that lead their species. I had to look that up because I wasn't sure what emissaries was. So he met with the emissaries there in Agartha. I was looking at this map that Richard had in his diary of Agartha, and I just started thinking like, and also my husband told me yesterday about all this UFO stuff that the Pentagon is releasing, and I just like, it's becoming a thing that like I'm thinking about now. We know absolutely nothing. Like everything that we could know about the universe, we know maybe like 0.0001% of what there is to know. And if you really sit with that for a few minutes, I'm scared. Like that is just insane to me. And it makes you want to just kind of like go out, get your own education, and have access to like different ways to figure shit out. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm an investigator. Like, I want to know. We have a whole universe that we have no idea what's out there. The Pentagon is like admitting that they know that there's other life forms out there. Do they look like us? Like, are they humanoid? They're obviously smarter than us if they can get their crafts onto our planet. That's scary. Stop. Aliens scare me, guys. Aliens are one of my biggest fears. I don't know why. I do know why. Signs. The movie Signs ruined my entire life. Don't watch it. If you've never seen it, don't watch it. Same with The Fourth Kind. That movie, God help us all. So Agartha, like I told you earlier, has been a legend for thousands of years. It can be found in Christianity. Underworlds are found in like so many different religions, so many different cultures have this idea of an underworld. Why? I wonder why. Like, why are we all bent out of shape about an underworld? Maybe Hollow Earth is a thing. So Richard allegedly met the master of Agartha, and this master had concerns about the human race and what we were doing. It was the same time period that we were using atomic bombs, and the leader of Agartha was concerned for the well-being of our world. He told Richard that, and I say he very lightly, it could be a woman, you know? I'm just saying, leaders can be women too. They can also be a creature. It could be anything. This leader told Richard that he had communicated with the government already his concerns about atomic energy being used as weapons. And Richard was like, say what? Like, the government knows about you? They told Richard to go back, meet with his leader, and tell him about his encounter and warn him about the use of atomic energy. So that's exactly what Richard did. Now, this portion of the mission was left out of all of the official reports. Obviously, government has secrets. That's one of them. And according to Richard's diary, the government ordered him to keep silent about this encounter. Now, I'm gonna read you an excerpt from his diary. This is what he claims in his diary. Quote, "I have just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated fully my discovery and the message from the master. All is duly recorded. The president has been advised. I am now detained for several hours, 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal with 4 exclamation points. I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of this United States of America. I am," and this is all in capitals, "ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on the behalf of humanity." 3 exclamation points. Now we're not capitalized anymore. "Incredible!" exclamation point. "I am reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders." End quote. Now that is suspicious. That is a very detailed account of what he seems to remember happening. So either he cuckoo or that shit happened, okay? Either one could be true. So 8 years later, there was Operation Deep Freeze, which was basically like the same kind of mission to go to Antarctica, set up shop, research. But this led people to wonder, why in such a short amount of time are we sending so much military presence to the Antarctic? That's not a word. To the Arctic. So people were wondering, like, what was seen? Was something seen there? What's going on? Why do we want so much military presence in Antarctica all of a sudden? So Richard later reported to a Chilean newspaper that his expedition taught him to be comfortable with seeing hostile airplanes and like aircrafts coming from the polar regions. So to get used to it, basically. Many people took this as evidence of what he saw. Earlier I mentioned how some people believed that the mission was actually to find base 211. Now, it is well documented that the Nazis actually explored the Arctic regions and they set up bases to test novel weaponry. It's also very well documented that Hitler and the Nazis were obsessed with esotericism, which is information that is basically a secret and it's kept confidential unless you are initiated into like the club that holds this secret information. So kind of like Illuminati or something like that. It's a secret club. They were also obsessed with the occult, which is anything that's like magical or mysterious, supernatural. Some people even go as far as to believe that Hitler didn't actually die, that he ran away to Agartha. My only qualm with this theory is that if Agartha is a place where it's a higher power, why would they want Hitler there? Like, they wouldn't want his ass. You know what I mean? Like, there were Nazi maps found that claimed to lead to Agartha. There were directions on how to get there. There's also plenty of evidence that Nazis were actually searching for Agartha. I know I mentioned that before, so that they had a backup plan if Hitler ever needed to escape in an emergency. Hit the high road. They were actively seeking and exploring and searching for Agartha. I could probably do a whole nother video on this topic. There's also evidence that the Nazis might have believed that we were already living on the inside of the earth. Almost every ancient culture has a story that depicts an underworld. In Christianity, it's hell. In Judaism, it's Sheol. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. The Greeks spoke of Hades. There's closer depictions of actual Agartha in Tibetan Buddhism, where there's a legend of a secret mystical city located deep in the Himalayas. I know I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Many people are said to have searched for this place in the Himalayas, but no one is known to have found it, obviously. In Hindu and Celtic stories, there's caves and underground subterrestrial realms and worlds. Some people actually believe that Atlantis is Agartha. And then some people believe that the species that lived in Atlantis were actually a divine species, and when all these cataclysmic events started happening, that they were just driven inside the earth, and that is now where they reside, and they had to kind of just like abandon Atlantis. There's all kinds of different theories, ideas. Have we ever tried to find Agartha is the question. Have we ever tried to like dig and see what's in there? The answer to that is yes, we have. But you can only dig so deep before it starts getting too hot. So there's really not much we can do about it until we get equipment that we can use that will not burn up the deeper you go. We've only gotten to about 7 or 8 miles deep, and then our equipment just can't handle the heat any longer. But things that we have discovered by digging, there were scientists that believed that there would be a layer of rock within the crust. And when we started digging, it wasn't there. We also found water where we did not think that we would. So there's just so much that we don't know, you know? I hope that when we die, that this kind of stuff gets answered for us. I want to know. I need to know. If you have any interesting information on the Hollow Earth theory, please leave it down in the comments. Let me know if you want me to do another video on like the Hitler thing, or what you would like to see a video on next. I was thinking about doing the flat earth theory, or the theory about chemtrails. Also, I forgot to mention there's also apparently like no fly zones in Antarctica. And I don't know if you've ever looked into it, but look up the Antarctica Treaty. Like, a bunch of nations signed this treaty to, I guess it makes sense. Their thing is to preserve Antarctica because it's so fragile and so different, but it just makes you wonder, like, why do you want to keep us out of there? What's over there? So let me know what you guys think about this theory in the comments. Do you believe it? Do you think that there's any logic to this? Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you guys next time. I need to make it big so I can get Botox in my forehead. I'm just kidding, I probably wouldn't.